Evil Dead is a 2013 horror movie directed by Fede Alvarez and starring Jan Levy and Shiloh Fernandez, as five friends head to a remote cabin where the discovery of a book of the dead leads them to unwittingly summon up demons living in the nearby woods. Scream Factory presents this film with a new 4K upscale with Dolby Vision and HDR10. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. And today we are going to review Evil Dead 2013, the latest Scream Factory release, and I got this one in early. It's supposed to be available to everybody on September the 27th, but I pre-ordered from Scream Factory. Sorry, I'm bending down here, but I pre-ordered from Scream Factory, so I got the poster and all that stuff, all the collectible materials. It's just the poster. That's all the collectible materials that comes with it. But I do get it. You do get the perk of getting it in early, at least when you order from Scream Factory, at least most of the time anyway. But we're going to get into talking about this movie, the transfer, the audiovisual quality, just all that kind of stuff, the special features or lack thereof. And then we're going to talk about the packaging as well, which I've already unboxed this in a separate video, and I have some issues with that as well, but we'll get to that here in a second. But look, before I get into all that, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We do physical media content on this channel every single day, new 4K and Blu-ray reviews. We just talk about all that kind of stuff, physical media, owning the movies that you love. You like all that stuff there behind me, you'll definitely enjoy this channel, so hit the subscribe button. Also, be sure to comment down below, guys. Are you going to purchase this latest Scream Factory release? Have you seen this movie? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in that comment section below. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So I do like talking about the movie itself first. Now, I have not watched this film in probably 3 or 4 years, but I was super excited when this got announced because I remember loving this movie. I still love this movie, but I really remember loving this movie, especially when it came out. It just like blew me away. I didn't know if it'd be like a cheap cash grab, like remake, like a lot of the movies that were coming out at that time. So I didn't know quite what to expect, but this movie just blew me away when it came out, and I rewatched it again over and over again in the 2010s. Last time I watched it was probably 2018, 2019, and I still loved it. So this is a great horror remake. This is an example of a horror remake done right, taking the original material but putting enough of a twist on it to make it feel original and timely to the new era that it's being presented in. So this is the example of how to do a horror remake right, and it's probably one of the best horror remakes of all time, in my opinion. One of the better horror films of the 2010s. So I was very excited for this release. I think this was like number 2 on my list of like most anticipated. I did a top 25 most anticipated horror titles of the fall a couple of months ago, and I think this was number 2, and Poltergeist was number 1, which I just reviewed. So go check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, very much looking forward to this release by Scream Factory presented in 4K. Now, I did have the Blu-ray disc of this one, but this did not have the unrated cut on it. I did not have the Blu-ray disc with both the unrated cuts. I think this is one of the first Blu-ray discs that they came out with when the movie was first released physically. So I did own it on Blu-ray, so I thought, you know, it would be worth the 4K upgrade. Sam Raimi did have some kind of presence on the making of this film. He definitely endorsed Fede Alvarez as a filmmaker, remaking his classic. So that's very cool. But it's a movie that I feel like with the effects work, with the gore and stuff, and just some of the moments in this movie, this movie is to be taken seriously, but there are some moments where the gore gets on the more ridiculous side, and it is more in line with that old school like Evil Dead, The Evil Dead, and Evil Dead 2 kind of sensibilities, and just with the style and stuff. So I can kind of see it is a little cartoonish with the gore at certain points in this movie. And I feel like I noticed that a little bit more this time. So it does kind of feel, and it honestly feels a little bit more in line with maybe Drag Me to Hell than the older like Evil Dead movies, in my opinion. But it's still, you know, super gory, super awesome. It just has a great visual style to it by Fede Alvarez. I just love some of the camera angles that he uses in this, and it just really gives the film such an identity. Like in those closing shots and sequences when she's outside and she's trying to get that chainsaw, just some of the angles that he uses with her on the ground as the blood's dripping down, raining down from above, and just splattering on the ground and all that's going everywhere. Like just some of the angles that he uses, and all throughout the film as well. He's constantly just like twisting the camera to just add some great effect to what's going on, to the horrors of what's going on during the film. And I just think some of the direction in this film is like truly top notch. I love the story and the addiction angle with the character of Mia, played by Jan Levy. I think it's really smart to make your lead character an addict and her have to go through the process of this detoxification. Like, that's the whole story. Her friends are taking her to this cabin. They're not going there to party like they were in the first Sam Raimi's Evil Dead. They're going there to help their friend get over this addiction that she has to drugs. So they're in there and something happens to Jan Levy while they're there, but they just kind of play it off as she's going through her process of just her withdrawal process from the drugs. So it's smart in that sense because her friend just kind of overlook all of the odd and strange behavior that she has because she's being possessed by demons. And they kind of just chalk it up to, oh, she's, an addict and she's going with withdrawal. So they're kind of not paying attention to some of the stuff that happens to her until shit really starts to hit the fan. So I think that that's a cool angle to bring into it. And I like the way that they play that off throughout the film. It's very fast paced. Like, it does have a little bit of a slower start. I'd say about 20 minutes in before it really starts to pick up. But once it picks up, like, it just goes all the way to the end, just escalation after escalation. And it really just gets crazier and more insane as it goes and more gory. And it's really super violent. Like, if you have a weak stomach, some sequences in this film, some moments will really get to you. So definitely appreciate it for that. Honestly, though, when I rewatched it, and I do still love this movie, I do, but it honestly went down a little bit for me on this rewatch. Like, when I was watching, I just started to notice some of the stuff that honestly was just kind of making me a little irritated. Like, the characters in this movie are extremely dumb. They're extremely dumb, and everything that they do is the wrong thing to do. Every situation that they're in, that they could play it one way and things would be maybe a little bit better than they were if they did it the other way, they do it the wrong way every time. Like, they just are always making the wrong decisions, always making terrible decisions all throughout the film, and it kind of got on my nerves as I was going through it. So it just, I always saw this film as a little bit more than just your standard horror film, but that kind of stuff just kind of brought it back down. So at the end of the day, as for a movie, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5, whereas before I feel like I would have given it like a 4.5 or a 4.75 out of 5, but I still really enjoy the movie. I just started noticing some things on this rewatch that I wasn't the biggest fan of. Getting into the transfer itself, guys, and this is where we might spark up just a little bit of controversy here. Now, this is a 4K upscale from the Blu-ray, so this is not like a complete from the ground up restoration. But again, it still looks great. So this is a 4K upscale. It does add in Dolby Vision. It adds in HDR10 and stuff like that. So I don't want to dwell on that too much, but the transfer to me was more than solid. It was a nice transfer, but it's nothing to really get pumped for like I was hoping for. The Blu-ray looks really good and this looks really good. Again, it looks slightly better, but it's not enough of an improvement for me, really. It's a very dreary, it's an ugly film visually with just a lot of like puke greens and browns and stuff like that. So nothing really stood out until we got to that amazing like blood raining down from the sky, fire in the background scene at the end, which is the last 20 minutes of the film, which that absolutely, in my opinion, shined. But again, it kind of shined on the Blu-ray as well. So I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting just something a little bit more visually eye-popping than what we actually got. There are some seriously dark scenes in this film. A lot of this film is at night and you're in the cabin and it's very dark and dreary, but you could see everything perfectly. So, I mean, that HDR and the black levels were really firing on all cylinders and working very well within this 4K transfer. So I will give it credit for that. It's just overall, guys, for my money, and we'll get into some other stuff here in a second, but for my money, I paid like $37 for this after shipping, probably closer to like $40, $41. And for my money, I just didn't find it to be that much more impressive than this standard Blu-ray that I already have. Getting into the audio, this is a DTS HD Master 5.1, so no upgrades on the audio here. It's the same audio ported over from the Blu-ray. And now let's get into the special features. The special features, again, another disappointment here. And I don't know what I was looking at, they announced like all the features and stuff, I think like a couple of weeks ago, and I guess I just wasn't like paying attention to it. I just assumed that there would be some new stuff with this release in here. There is nothing new, which is very odd considering this is a special edition, collector's edition, Scream Factory release. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. At least, I don't know, not the past like couple of years. I feel like we're getting new Scream Factory releases. Yeah, we're getting upgraded 4Ks from Scream Factory that do not have any new special features, but that's because they have the previous special features from previous Scream Factory releases. There are no new special features on this release that Scream Factory did themselves. All of the special features in this release are just ported over from this Blu-ray from back in 2013, 2014, whenever that came out. So absolutely nothing new. There's an audio commentary on here, but again, that audio commentary is present on the Blu-ray. So every single new special feature is already on this Blu-ray, and they just ported it over with absolutely nothing new. So that's an odd choice for me. And I don't know if like maybe there was licensing issues, maybe they couldn't get that done. I don't know. But again, it's just like, well, why do it? Like if you're going to do this release, a new 4K release, and again, it's a new to Scream Factory movie. Like Evil Dead 2013 has not been in the Scream Factory catalog before. It is new to Scream Factory. So you would expect that there would be some new special features, new interviews, something new on this set, but there's nothing. There's nothing here in terms of new special features, and it just strikes me as very odd. And again, this is my fault. Like I don't know. I pre-ordered this when it came out because I was very excited, and I just kind of let the movie take over me. I was like, I just really want this movie in 4K because it's gonna look great. And I wasn't paying attention to the special features and when it was announced and all that stuff. And had I been paying attention, I might have canceled this order, or at least the pre-order from Scream Factory, and ordered it from Amazon at a later date when it went down in price a little bit, because I think it's like $25.89 on Amazon right now, and it's still $36 on the Scream Factory website. So I have to mark it down drastically for that. But one thing I'll say is that this does include both the theatrical and the unrated version. But there's also a Blu-ray, again, I don't own it, that has both the unrated and theatrical versions as well. But this includes both the unrated and the theatrical versions, both in 4K. So it's cool that they did that. But still, it's such a letdown. It's such a letdown, like nothing new. Like really, you couldn't get, and I expect this from studios sometimes, but like not from Scream Factory. Like you're doing a collector's edition, like you can't add any new special features. It just feels odd, and it just feels so lackluster, and it just feels so lazy by Scream Factory. And again, they're getting criticized left and right. And I just made a video a few weeks ago, like defending some of the stuff that they've done, but also taking them to task on other things. And this is absolutely something that I got to take them to task on. Like the fact that this doesn't have any new special features, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like they should be ashamed of themselves for putting out a release like this. So let's get into the packaging, and I can vent and bitch a little bit more. So I got this from Scream Factory, and there is damage right there on the case when I took it out. And it looked like somebody was just trying to cram it in to the slipcover, and they caused some damage there. But again, I pre-ordered this from Scream Factory. I paid a premium price to get this, and they could not even package it well enough to send to me undamaged, which is just inexcusable on their part. So, I mean, look at that. You got the damage right there. And also when you take out the artwork on here as well, which is another issue we'll go ahead and get into. This is ripped right here, and then you flip it, and there's no reversible cover art, which I said on the Fog review, I said when I talked about Cat People and they have reversible cover art, I was like, okay, I'll be fine with this if they make this a standard going forward. And it doesn't look like they are, because this doesn't have reversible cover art, and it absolutely should have. It should have had the poster with the words and stuff on the other half, and it doesn't have it. So again, another thing that's just completely ridiculous. But yeah, the damage, completely ridiculous that they would send this off to me. But I did send them an email. I'm waiting on a response. I'm going to get this replaced. But to be honest, I kind of just want to return it at this point and just forget about it. I'll order it at a later date, because I do want the film in 4K. Again, it looks the best it's looked. I'm going to say it looks the best it's looked. I do want it in the best possible format, but again, it's not something I feel like I should have paid $40 for. And getting into another thing, we've got negatives all over the place with this release, guys. There's only one disc. There's only one 4K disc, no Blu-ray disc. There are 3 disc sets that Scream Factory releases that cost the same as this. So what is that extra cost for? Why is this the same amount as Candyman or Life Force or some of those other 4Ks that had 3 discs? Why is this the exact same price? Like, why couldn't they lower it down to like 20 or 22 or something like that? It's ridiculous. And this is another thing I didn't notice. I didn't notice this was only 1 disc. I just assumed that because most Scream Factory releases do come with the Blu-ray and the 4K, that this was the same deal. It came with the Blu-ray and the 4K. So it's really kind of ridiculous. It's really good. I don't have any other word for it. So yeah, the packaging, I mean, I like the artwork on the slipcover, but again, even my slipcover is a little damaged down there at the bottom. There's a little damage down at the bottom of the slipcover, a little damage up top. So I mean, it's not perfect, and I'll show you the spine right there. Again, I did an unboxing on the channel. I'll show you the reverse with the special features and stuff. But yeah, guys, I'm kind of done. I'm trying to see if I've got anything else to talk about it. At the end of the day, I can absolutely not recommend this. And this is one of the very few titles that I'm not going to recommend. I usually recommend a lot of stuff, but this one I had to get on here and talk about because this is one that I know a lot of people were excited about. But if you haven't bought this and you're on the fence, I'll just say right now, it's not worth it. It is absolutely not worth it. I cannot recommend this. Maybe when it goes down in price a little bit, maybe when there's a Scream Factory sale, pick it up, but I cannot recommend this for $26, $27 or $36 on the Scream Factory website. Absolutely not. No way am I going to recommend Evil Dead 2013 on 4K, and that absolutely breaks my heart. It really does. So appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, turn on the bell notifications, and comment down below, guys, what's your thoughts on this movie? Are you gonna pick this up? Again, I'm not recommending it, so I don't think that you should. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on it all in the comment section below, and then follow me on all my social media accounts down below, and we'll see you next time.